I'm Coach Amber, and welcome to the Meet RX Success Story podcast. Today we have a special guest, Joe. Hi, Joe.
Hey, how's it going today?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, just hanging out here. Got my sidekick, Jesse. We're just having a good time hanging out this Sunday. It's been beautiful.
Awesome. Hi, Jesse. Glad you're hanging with us.
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
she's
so
my friend.
Joe, tell us about what your life was like prior to you starting a carnivore diet. What were you eating? What was going on with your health? Anything you want to tell us about?
Yeah, totally. So I've only recently started carnivore diet like November 2019, but my health journey kind of began when I was 18 years old. I stepped on a scale and I saw I was 230 pounds, and I was just like, I didn't want to live life like that. You know, it was only going to get worse from there if I didn't change my habits. Growing up, I had divorced parents, and the two houses kind of ate very differently. So I had one that was like more balanced, not like we'll just say like meat, veggies, fruit, just kind of like a balanced plate. And then the other one was more fast food. So I had like a real unhealthy relationship with food. We just eat. And then when a lot of it was bad. So I just had real bad habits. So kind of the first thing so kind of the first thing that I did, I guess it's going in to kind of the next question, like the reason I didn't feel well, lethargic, and I didn't want to be that big. I wanted to be able to be active in my life. So then kind of the next part would be flowing into what I did to kind of implement some changes. The first thing that I did was I started calorie counting. So that just kind of gave me the general idea of portion control. You know what I mean? When you see, this much food is that many calories, it really puts things in perspective. Wow, all that junk food, that's just a ton of calories that you're taking in. So I did that for a little bit, and that just, like I said, gave me the idea of portion control, which was really helpful. And I tried to make healthier choices if I could. Did like a lot of chicken, onions, stuff like that, and just kind of tried to make healthier choices. And that went kind of okay. I lost a little bit of weight, and I don't know, I wasn't like super into it. I was still young. I'm 27 years old now. So I was like, 18, 19, 20 at the time. So I wasn't like super focused into it. I was just trying to make better choices in general. Um, and then kind of, I would say like the next big thing was 4 years ago in 2015, I found the low carb or keto diet. And that was the first thing that I really did to have some success. I was a little bit older, a little bit more aware, trying to kind of really have a focus on general health and stuff like that. And so I did low carb and also did intermittent fasting, kind of a mix of that. And I had a ton of success with that. I started to lose weight. I also got into more physical activity at the time. I do a ton of rucking. That's what I'm into. So was able to just kind of get healthier with what I was eating, as well as the physical activity I was involved in. So I did that. At the time, I was eating a ton of meat. That's just what I like to eat naturally. So I wasn't, kind of ties into now going into carnivore a little bit more. But yeah, the keto, I did that for a while. The intermittent fasting. To talk a little bit about that, I started kind of like at an 18-6 type of a thing. I would wait and skip breakfast and then start eating at lunchtime. And then that kind of morphed into doing just one meal a day, honestly, out of convenience and laziness. It's easier to not make a lunch and just go and I'll eat when I get home. With the type of food that I like to eat, I like to prepare it all. I don't like anything that's really like processed or reheated. So that's kind of what I like to do. So it's just easier. And I still do that to this day. I usually just do one meal when I get home, or I'll be kind of eating for a couple hours, type of thing. Eat one meal, take a little bit of a break, and then scarf down some more food. Um, but then I will also add, I did try more of like a vegetarian approach for a little bit. All that did was give me really bad gas. So I wasn't a fan. I think it was because I was eating too much broccoli and cauliflower, stuff like that, and with the type of veggies that are. apparently if you eat too much, you don't process it well. But I didn't have any success with that. Um, so yeah, so then kind of going into carnivore diet, I found that kind of like the end of November 2019. Um, and so I've been doing that, and I've leaned down a ton. I've been probably exercising less. I work a lot. I work on my feet and stuff, but it's not like heavy, strenuous labor or anything. Um, but I'm still losing a ton of weight, starting to kind of get toned in the midsection and getting like the outline of abs and stuff. And like I said, it's just from diet. I'm not doing anything different. I love the steak every day. That's fantastic. If I could, I would eat it every day. Recently, with all the coronavirus stuff, the price of beef has went up. So I've been trying to eat more ground beef. Pro tip: I shop at Aldi. I don't know if anyone else does, but they have like the frozen beef there is way cheaper than all the fresh beef. So I've been just stocking up on frozen beef patties. They're like $2.70 a pound instead of like three something a pound for the fresh beef. Um, but anyway, I've been just eating a lot of meat. I've reintroduced some vegetables. I do onions and mushrooms. I saute those. I really like those. I've kind of, I don't know, I'm just about general health. It's more about a sustainable way of eating for me. So I don't want to be like over disciplined or over strict, like, oh, can't, have anything. That's not really what I'm interested in. And so I do still a very heavy meat based. I'd say like 80 to 90% of my calories come from meat. And then just do kind of like the sauteed veggies for taste, do some avocados. Um, but that's kind of what I'm doing right now and plan on sticking with. I just like eating meat. So it tastes good. So that's kind of my approach for that. Um, and so kind of going into the results of all of this and what it's done for me, I would say overall it's definitely changed my life. I'm way healthier than I've ever been. I wear smaller size pants now than I did in the fifth grade. Like when was growing up, I was obese. I think I was pre-diabetic. I don't know, like all the super stats or whatever of stuff, but I definitely wasn't healthy. So I'm in the best shape of my life. And I'm just able to do whatever I want to do. And that's nice. It's fun to be able to do. I do a ton of rucking events, stuff like that. So I'm able to participate in all that stuff, which is awesome. Um, yeah, like I said, the weight loss is cool. The endurance to do whatever I want to be able to do in life, that's awesome. And especially with not always have to worry about being hungry, like, oh, I got to eat right now. It's nice. I call it metabolic flexibility, just being able to kind of go with the flow. With that being said, too, I'm kind of able to eat whatever I want. And like at this point, like if I eat something like sugary or, example, last night I had a pizza. I love pizza. I still love food. But today I don't feel bad at all. I went right back over to just eating, all meat. Don't have any hiccups or anything like that. So my body's kind of adjusted to doing to whatever it's got to do. So I think that's pretty cool. Instead of being stuck in eating one single way or anything like that, you can just kind of go with the flow and do whatever. I used to be like super weird about like being real strict and stuff, and that gets kind of hard in social situations. I find a lot of the times that I stray away from eating just a carnivore diet these days is when I'm out and about with friends. Everybody else doesn't eat that way, and instead of just being weird, sometimes it's just easier to get along. And to be honest, I like all that food too. You know what I mean? It's not like I stopped eating, the bad stuff, and because I didn't like it. It's just not good for me, and I have, excuse me, I have very poor self control, so it's easier just to say no for me and not have that food around, stuff like that. So that's kind of the route I go and kind of why I am where I am, because it's easier. I want to be healthy, and to have that self discipline in my life, it's easier for me to say no. I can't just have one cookie. I have the whole box, type of a thing. And then also kind of the mental an emotional satisfaction from being able to adhere to something that is just a compound of daily choices. Health isn't just I do 100 push-ups today and I eat, like a saint, and then I'm healthy. It's compounding choices that you make every day over the course of weeks, months, years, decades, and it kind of shows. So I've been very proud of myself, the progress that I've shown. A lot of people kind of go downhill as they get older, and I'm only going uphill at this point. So just kind of, it's hard sometimes when you're doing it, making those choices, and it's not about being perfect either. It's about getting it right more times than not. I was a baseball guy growing up. If you hit the ball 3 out of 10 times, you're super successful. And so you just kind of have that approach to it and have it be more about trying to do more good days than bad days. And you just kind of get into the habit of doing things, especially when you kind of switch over and you get into it. So you just kind of got to, I guess that'd be like my motivation to people, is that it just compounding daily choices. You just kind of say, I want better, and you just try and keep going ahead with those little victories.
I love that. I have to really commend you because you are so young, and to be starting now, taking control of your health. Well, actually, you did it, years ago before you even moved to meat based. You were already making good decisions, and that's a huge thing because right now, I mean, look at all the people who are metabolically messed up. I mean,
Oh
just
yeah.
flat messed up. And, especially when we're dealing with this whole virus and people are, so immune compromised, it's terrible. So I definitely commend you for that. And I loved what you said about the compounding your, the effects of making better decisions and better decisions. Small changes make for bigger changes and reaching your goal, which should be health. And that's awesome. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
When you first implemented the carnivore diet, what did you do? Like, what meats were you eating? You kind of mentioned what you do now, but when you very first started, what was your philosophy? Like, what did you include dairy? And do you now include dairy?
Yeah. So at the beginning, I went all in. It's the meat diet. It's about eating steak. So I was just crushing a ton of steak. At the time, steak, I think it was $3.49 a pound for like the big chuck roasts at Aldi. So I would get those and I would chop it up into fourths, and that would be like a meal for like a day, day and a half. And so, I mean, I was just loving it. Who doesn't like a good steak? Working on the art of perfecting a steak. I use a cast iron, so it's a ton of fun, trying to just figure out how to get it perfect. Obviously, can't overcook it and ruin it. So that was kind of fun to do that. So I did that. I did burgers, was trying to stick to just like a lot of beef, was doing that. Maybe some dairy. My wife was pregnant at the time, so I was just kind of like trying to have a mix of stuff in the house. So we had milk, and so I might drink some occasionally. I don't know. And everything I've done health wise, I'm never super strict. I enjoy food still at the end of the day. So I don't like overly adhere strictly to anything. So I do cheese sometimes. Don't really do milk. I'd probably say try and do less dairy than not, just because I don't know, at the end of the day, it's probably more empty calories than anything, and I can live without it, save some money, type of a thing. But I'm not like super strict either way. Um, and then, sorry, was there another part of the question, or was that?
Well, actually, when you went more meat based, did you notice any transitional issues? Like, did you feel fatigued? Did you have any digestive issues? Anything like that?
Yeah, so being straight up, I had some issues with some diarrhea. It wasn't like overly like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna crap my pants right now type of a thing, but just it would be like in the morning time, like my normal like bowel movement, it would just be more runny and kind of diarrhea instead of solids. But it was nothing, like I said, like, oh man, I'm gonna crap my pants right this minute type of a thing. And to be honest, like doing it over a couple of months, I still kind of had some of those issues. And from what I gather, it's from the type, like eating too much fat. Your body can't process the fat content. And that can make sense because just out of a pure budget standpoint, the ground beef that I get is all like the 75/25. So it's all the real fatty stuff. So it kind of makes sense that I might be having that problem. Once I started so now, like I said, I'm doing like just some sauteed onions and mushrooms and the avocado, just like that little, we'll call it that little bit of veg. Ever since then, my bowels are more regulated and it's normal. There's a lot less poop too. We're talking about it, so we'll talk about it. Definitely a lot less, and it just more normal now. So I did have that problem with the runs, but like I said, it makes sense when I kind of adjusted and was eating more leaner meats or whatever, I would tell a difference. But other than that, I didn't really feel like a anything crazy like up or down. And I think that's just because I was already doing low carb more or less, so I was already kind of like at a good baseline. Like that, I'm not somebody who had like dramatic health changing effects from it because I was already at like a point of decent health when I came to it. But the one thing I will say is I've leaned out a ton now, like over being at like 6, 7 months that I've been doing it more meat based. I'm definitely leaning out a lot, and it's not from working out more or anything like that. It's from strictly dietary stuff, or at least just from what I would be able to guess. And so that's been kind of interesting to see, just because like you see some of the people who lose a ton of weight or stuff like that. It's kind of cool to see over the course of a couple months that it kind of has been like that. Because I was pretty lean to begin with. I had still some body fat on me for sure, and I still do. But just for that it's in like the point where a lot of it is probably like more dietary. Like I'm not going to have massive gains because I'm not obese or anything like that anymore. Um, but yeah, so I've noticed that I'm gonna stick with it and kind of see where it can go. Want to try and work out more inherently. I kind of just like doing my rucking type thing, so just like walking around more than doing like physical exercise and stuff like that. But that's the next step. So we'll see. It's a journey. Like I said, steps in the right direction. So still room to improve, and things always to try and tweak and see what you know what can be better and what's the best way. It's always kind of learning. You do different things and push your body and kind of figure out your body. Still, there's very fine nuances. If you kind of get to the right place, you can realize exist. One that comes to mind, it's real weird, but like I was eating for like a 6 month stretch at the beginning of like my low carb health journey. Like I ate like a saint, like nothing bad at all. Cucumber skin. I ate like some cucumbers. I found out that the cucumber skin, I'm actually allergic to it. Like my body was like, I was eating so cleanly at the time that like after I ate those, I was like, oh, I don't feel good. And like I looked it up, and like some people have a reaction to it. So it's kind of weird. Like if you really pay attention to your body and kind of, I don't know, have a detective like approach and have a process that you're doing, the scientific method or whatever, running experiments. You can kind of learn a lot about, your machine, so to speak, and how to properly fuel the performance.
That's exactly right. Because number one, carnivore is the perfect elimination diet, right?
Yeah,
And
oh
so
yeah.
when you clear your body of all of that other stuff, and then you reintroduce it after being meat only for a while, you really can tell what affects you or not. So I think that's, an awesome way to go about it for sure. And definitely the whole thing about where you're talking about evolving as you go, I think that is so incredibly important because your body changes, and as it changes, you have to be willing to change and find what works for you at that particular time. And it sounds like at 27, you've already got this figured out. And that's awesome because it only took me 40 years to figure that one out. So there you go. So that's awesome. Okay, one other question I want to ask you. You kind of have already gone over uh, the improvements. You pretty much mentioned, what's changed. But if you could pick one thing specifically about the carnivore diet that you think has been, I guess, life changing, what would it be?
Hmm. I would say the thing that's been life changing is that I've always really liked eating meat. Like I said, even like when I went low carb at the beginning, I was just eating a ton of different meats were really the main thing. Um, I won't say I was worried because, like I said, I never counted calories or anything. Like I just ate, and if I feel good, that's my gauge of how my health is doing. Like if I'm performing every day and I feel good, I don't think that there's some issue going on. So that's kind of like my marker and where I come from. Um, but it's been cool seeing that when I went, we'll call it, went to that elimination diet and was eating only the meat, that I was still performing at a high level. So that's cool that like I can eat kind of like I guess my body naturally wanted what is good for me. And so I guess that's kind of like how I like to live, is try and get in touch with like the natural way of living, kind of how we're supposed to be. And it kind of makes sense, that the meat and the fat content is what made us so smart and what made us grow. And so it's kind of cool to just live that out and see what kind of started as an experiment. And I tell people about some of the weird stuff I do. Just kind of, I think it's fun just to see, especially just people who, I don't know, kind of are stuck inside the box and don't think outside the box at all. It's fun to just go be the oddball and just, say, oh, I'm doing this or whatever, and see some of the stares. It's, I don't know, got to laugh and not take things too serious. Um, but anyway, lost my train of thought. What I was
No,
doing.
you did great. No, I think that's awesome. I love how you said that. It was perfect. Oh, I have another thing I want to ask you before you go.
Yep.
Your buddy there, Jesse, I understand he is on a carnivore diet too. Hi, Jesse. So tell
Mm.
me a little bit about what you do with his diet. I think people would be kind of interested to know.
Okay, quick correction. She is a girl. Doesn't not a huge
Oh,
deal, but I got her as a puppy. She was 2.5 months old when I got her. Came having kibble, and so we were feeding her that to begin with, and um, I don't know, just like I said, a more like a natural type of lifestyle is kind of what I want to do. So I took that approach. My dog did some research, and like it makes sense. They don't naturally like vegetables or kibble. Like what did they eat in the wild? Food or a lot of meat, stuff like that, bones. And so I did some research and saw a lot of good things. People saying that real healthy dogs from doing that. Um, so we switched her over. It was super funny in the beginning. I just gave her a huge chicken leg quarter the first time I ever fed her meat. She had no idea what to do with it. She just picked it up and carried it around. It was super funny. So I got to chop up food for her now. So I do chicken leg quarters for her mostly is what she eats, and then if she gets a little treat, I'll give her some ground beef. She loves steak. Whenever I eat steak, I'll give her a piece or two. She loves it. Um, she, growing up, wasn't super food motivated, but one day I made the mistake of giving a burger to her that I grilled. Didn't even feed her when we were eating. It was after the fact, but she just associated that smell with food and like became a beggar and stuff. So now she sits patiently waiting for her piece. It's pretty funny. But she does real well. She's super active. Um, I guess from a dog perspective, she's pretty accomplished. Last year we did 1,000-mile challenge for walking, rucking, and she led the household. She probably got around 1,500 miles last year of walking. Because I did 1,200 last year, and then my wife got a little bit over 1,000, and we did that separately. But the dog was pretty much always out with one of us. So she got a ton of miles in last year, and then she also finished the Go Ruck 50-mile star course. So she walked 50 miles. I carried her for a quarter mile of the whole ordeal. Otherwise, she walked the whole way. So that's kind of, she's able to uh, be sustained on all of her adventures from the all meat diet. So she seems to be doing very well. Everyone always compliments how good looking of a dog she is. And she looks real healthy and stuff like that. So I would say she enjoys it. It's the food that she likes to eat, and she seems to be very healthy. So I would advocate for it. Funny story: I took her to the vet, and they said that I wasn't doing right by her. They wouldn't recommend it. they said that she would, yeah, oh yeah, I know. Whoa, that's exactly what my thought was as well. So they didn't recommend it. Um, a bad dog owner or not, I've only taken her that one time. It didn't make sense for me to keep going back. She hates it there, just with her temperament or whatever. She's not a fan. But then also when they're saying stuff like that, I don't know that I want their advice. Um, yeah, I don't
Oh
know.
la la. I mean, oh wow. Yeah, that's sad to hear. I mean, they
Yeah,
are
she's gonna get salmonella or
carnivores.
something like that. They were saying. I mean,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Wow. Yeah. And I thought it was bad with humans. Okay, that's bad. Well, thank you so much for sharing that bit of information and carnivores made a difference in your life. I appreciate you coming on, and it's been a pleasure. And thank you so much, Joe. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.